Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my top 10 favorite vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online right now. So these vehicles are not necessarily my favorites overall, I've already done a video about that. These are just my favorite ones that I've been using recently in Grand Theft Auto Online and that I wanted to share with you guys. I figured some of you would find this pretty interesting. So anyway, let's get into it. We're going to go ahead and start off with number 10. At number 10, we of course have the Bravado Buffalo STX. Now, I've been using this thing quite a bit in online recently. It goes for about $1.6 million, which is a pretty fair price. I think that's if you have the trade price for it too. Obviously, you guys, if you watch my videos, you know how much I rant and rave about the Bravado Buffalo STX. It's one of the best cars in Grand Theft Auto Online right now, largely due to its Imani tech abilities as well as its armor abilities. It's a great car. It's very fast. It is actually the fastest car in the muscle cars category around a track. Now, there's going to be inevitably some idiot in the comment who's going to try to refute that. It's not true. Don't listen to them. This thing absolutely tears in the muscle category, and a large part of it is because it has very, very good handling. It's also fun for free mode because it is, of course, a 4-seater, so you can seat 4 players in this thing. You can have 3 friends with you while you're driving. It's got machine guns as well that you can equip it with. It's really good looking, it's got great customization. What's not to like about this thing, honestly? If you don't like the STX, you're just a hater, to be honest. It's a great car. That's pretty much it for number 10. Let's move on to number 9. Next up at number 9, we have the Overflod Entity XF. This thing goes for about $750,000 in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, I've recently started driving this thing quite a bit because I made an Overflod vehicle tier list a couple weeks ago, and ever since I've been whipping the Entity pretty hard whenever I play on PC. Obviously, I don't have it on my expanded and enhanced character yet, at least, but on PC I have been driving this thing around quite a bit. I do really like this car. It's one of my favorites in the entire game, honestly. It's very fast for being an OG car in Grand Theft Auto Online. I mean, you just can't deny that this thing is just kind of a goat. No, it's not going to win you any races, but I mean, it's a super fun car to drive. It looks great for being, you know, as old as it is, almost 9 years old now. Overall, the Entity XF is a car that I definitely recommend trying out. If you guys have never owned one in Grand Theft Auto Online, this thing is kind of a blast to drive. It handles really well, pretty damn quick. I mean, there's really nothing to dislike about this vehicle whatsoever. It's just so good. Definitely give it a shot if you never have before. Let's move on to number 8. Next up at number 8, we have the Ubermacht Oracle. Yes, a very cheap car, a car that you can steal off of the street or that you can buy for $80,000 from Southern San Andreas Super Autos. Now, it might surprise you that I'm driving this car, and honestly, I mean, I don't blame you. If you're new to the channel, it probably will surprise you. If you've been around for a while, you might not be so surprised because the Oracle is actually one of my favorite cars in Grand Theft Auto Online, and I do honestly believe that this is one of the best free vehicles that you can get. Free in quotation marks. I mean, you have to steal it from somebody, but, you know, it's free. The Oracle actually has pretty decent performance. Like, you're not going to win any races with it, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's a really fun car to drive. I like drifting mine around. I'm absolutely brutal at drifting. Every time that I try to record, I'm just like, I don't know what happens to me, but I just lose all ability whatsoever. So apologies for that. There's probably going to be some brutal drifts here, but I'm trying my best. I swear. Obviously, the Oracle's a 4-seater like the STX. I do just think that this thing is so much fun to drive in, especially for being a free car. Like, you really cannot go wrong with picking up an Oracle. Really good looking car as well, in my opinion. I think from the front, this thing looks like super aggressive. I really like it. I definitely think that you guys should pick one of these up. I mean, if you got garage space, there's really no excuse. It's literally a free car, so I mean, go ahead and get yourself an Oracle. Try driving it around, customize it a little bit, you know? See if you like it. You might not, but I really do like this thing a lot. And I feel like there's a pretty good chance that you guys will too if you don't have one already. So that's it for number 8. Let's move on to number 7. For number 7, we have the Buzzard. I've been using the Buzzard an awful lot in my expanded and enhanced playthrough of Grand Theft Auto Online because this thing is pretty much the only air vehicle that's armed that I have access to at this point in my playthrough of Out the Mud. If you guys haven't seen that, you should go check that out. The Buzzard is really useful. It goes for about $1.8 million, or to be specific, $1.75 million off of Warstock. It's really good because you can spawn it through the interaction menu when you are registered as a CEO. So it can spawn right beside you. You can get right into it, and you can use it for headhunting. You can use it against players. Pretty much anything you guys want. I mean, the Buzzard, it's just kind of a goat of Grand Theft Auto Online. It's an OG vehicle as well. Super sick. I mean, some of these OG vehicles, you really can still use them in Grand Theft Auto Online and, you know, do reasonably well with them. So Definitely check out the Buzzard if you don't have one or if you've never owned one. It's a really good vehicle. I'm sure there's going to be some people that will vouch for this thing in the comments down below. That's it for the Buzzard. Let's move on to number 6. Next up, we have the Vulkar Fagaloa. Now, I know that's not how you say that word, but if you think about it, there's a reason why I'm not going to say the word. I don't want anybody to take any sound bites of me and, you know, cut the word off anywhere. So, anyway, we have the Vulkar Fagaloa. This is a car that I have owned for quite some time in Grand Theft Auto Online. The customization is up on my channel, so if you're interested for how long I've owned this thing for some reason, it's up there. This is a really, really cool car. It was on sale last week, I believe, and I hope that some of you guys picked it up because it really is a cool car. It's got a lot of customization and you can make it look really, really clean in my opinion. I love my build on this thing. I think it's super sick looking, super sleek. Definitely a pretty sick car. Now I know there's actually a lot of people that really do like this thing already in Grand Theft Auto Online, but I figured I would add it into my video because I have been driving it recently, and the goal of this video is really to show off some cars that you might not know too much about in Grand Theft Auto Online, and also to just show off what I've been driving. Now the performance is not very good. This is definitely a car that you will take to like a car meet or something like that, show it off, but definitely don't expect to win any sort of races, whether that's like a free mode drag race or whether it's on a track. This thing is just not going to do it for you. It's really not that fast. With that being said, for free mode, you know, it's not a bad car. It's decent enough. I like it. Definitely enjoy driving it. It handles pretty decently. The acceleration and the top speed just aren't there, but it's a cool car nonetheless. Definitely one that I would recommend trying out if you guys have never tried one before. That's it for number 6. Let's move on to number 5. Next up, we have the Akula. Now, the Akula goes for about $2.8 million with the trade price unlocked. I think it's somewhere near $4 million without the trade price. Obviously, I'm sure many of you guys will know this. I'm sure almost all of you guys will know this, but for those who don't, the Akula actually has a stealth mode that you can use on this thing. When you're in stealth mode, you are completely removed from the minimap and from the expanded map within the pause menu, which is a pretty deadly feature. You can sneak up on almost anybody with this thing, quickly pop out of stealth mode, absolutely destroy them, and then go right back into stealth mode. The Akula is great. It's also a 4-seater, has homing missiles or barrage that you can equip it with. Of course, in order to own this thing, you will need a hangar, so that is a little bit of an extra expense on top. But the Akula is definitely worth it. One of my favorite helicopters in Grand Theft Auto Online. I'd actually say it probably is my favorite helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online. And I have been using it a little bit recently, so figured I would include it in this video. That's it for the Akula at number 5. Let's move on to number 4. Next up, we have the Dewbauchee Champion. Now, I've been driving this thing quite a bit in online on the PC version of the game recently. Definitely one of my favorite cars for free mode right now. Similar to the STX, this thing also has a Monty Tech and several other options on it, which are really, really good. It's also equipable with machine guns, the armor upgrade as well. It's got the lock-on jammer, a Monty Tech upgrade, like I mentioned already. And the Champion is a supercar. It's not one of the fastest supercars out there. I believe it's in about 25th place overall, which is not very good. However, it's still a pretty quick car. It's definitely a fun one to drive. I do enjoy driving this thing quite a lot. I love how it looks. It's based off of an Aston Martin Victor in real life, which is a very cool car. Overall, the Dewbauchee Champion, I mean, it does cost a lot of money. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of like $3 million. I think it's like $2.98 million, something like that. So it is very expensive, but for that price, you do get a very good car as well. Although, technically speaking, the Bravado Buffalo STX is a better overall car, even around a track, believe it or not, as long as there's enough corners on said track. The STX is actually faster than this thing around a track, and I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, no, there's no way, but trust me, it's been tested. The Champion truly is a pretty great car, and it's definitely one that I recommend picking up. I definitely say get an STX before this thing, if you don't have one of those already. But I mean, if you really want a Champion, I mean, get a Champion. The STX is quite a lot cheaper, and honestly, a little bit better. So keep that in mind if you're planning on purchasing one of these vehicles. Definitely get the STX first. That's my advice to you. However, of course, the Champion is still a great car, and I would highly recommend this thing as well if you got some extra money and if you got some extra garage space. So that's it for the Champion. Let's move on to number 3. Next up, at number 3, we have the Ocelot Locust. Now, the Ocelot Locust, I just recently customized it, like literally the other day, and ever since I've decided it is one of my favorite cars that I've ever customized and reviewed for the channel. This thing is truly an awesome vehicle. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to win any races with this thing, However, as a free mode vehicle for fun, especially if you enjoy the twisty sections of roads in GTA, the Ocelot Locust is an awesome car to have. This thing handles super well. It's basically like a glorified go-kart. Honestly, I feel like Rockstar took a Lotus Elise in real life and chopped the roof and the windshield off of it and said, okay, let's release this. So that's my personal take on where the inspiration for this thing comes from. It could be from one of the Lotus cars that doesn't have a windshield, like I believe there's one called the 211 or something like that. Very interesting car, and it handles absolutely amazingly. The acceleration's not the best, the top speed is not the best either. However, the handling is really where this thing shines, and it's an awesome car to drive. Definitely one of my favorite cars that I've customized and reviewed for the channel. Like I said, one of my favorite cars that I've driven recently in GTA. This was the first time that I actually customized it when I customized it for the channel. And I can honestly say I really wish that I customized this thing a lot sooner, because I would have definitely been whipping this thing for a while now. The Locust has made quite an impression on me. Definitely a great car. Definitely one that I recommend. I mean, it is a little on the expensive side. It is 1.6 mil. And for a car that's not going to win you any races, I mean, you could say it's not really worth it and there's better cars out there. However, I mean, I just think it's such a fun car, and it's definitely one that I have to recommend. I mean, it's so much fun. I honestly don't think you can go wrong with buying one of these things. It's a blast. That's all I got, man. Next up, we have the Hakuchou Drag HSW. Now, this is on the expanded and enhanced edition only of Grand Theft Auto Online. Unfortunately, this is not on PC or last gen. It will be coming to PC, I do believe, in the very near future. I'm not sure 100% on a date yet, but in the near future. As you guys can see, this thing is super fast. Now, the regular Hakuchou goes for about $940,000 in online. The upgrade costs $1.4 million, and then there's more money you can dump into it to make it even faster. So it is very expensive to own this thing. However, it is quite literally the fastest land vehicle in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. Yes, that has been verified. That's been verified by Bruffy1322, who tests every single car in Grand Theft Auto Online, races them, sees how fast they go around his track, and around his track, the Hakuchou Drag HSW is the fastest vehicle ever. So, very impressive. I love this bike. Ever since I bought it, it's won me so much money. It's actually paid itself off because of how many time trials I've ended up winning with this bike. It's so damn good. Looks great. Handles pretty decently for a drag bike. Definitely very fast in a straight line. Can't go wrong with a Hakuchou Drag HSW. This thing is absolutely awesome. So that is it for number 2. Let's move on to my number 1 vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online right now. Now, I'm very sure many of you saw this coming. Of course, at number 1, we have the greatest car to ever grace Grand Theft Auto Online with its presence. It is, of course, the Canis Seminole. I have been whipping this thing hard recently, and I mean, not even just recently. I've just been whipping this thing hard. It's definitely the greatest car in Grand Theft Auto Online. This thing goes for $30,000. For that price, you get one of the fastest vehicles ever. Best handling, best looking. It can fly. It can be a submarine car. It can take more Oppressor Mark II rockets than the MOC in GTA Online. It can actually take about the amount of 5 MOCs in GTA Online. So, I mean, it's absolutely crazily armored. There's really nothing bad about the Canis Seminole. Like, well, there just isn't anything bad about this car. It is definitely the greatest vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. Definitely a must-own for every single player, for sure. If you don't own a Canis Seminole yet, you are sleeping, and it is time to wake up. Let's be honest. So there you have it, guys. Those are my top 10 vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online at the current moment. I'm planning to make one of these videos every couple months, maybe once a month even, just to let you guys know what I'm driving in GTA Online. The thing is I don't want to make these videos if it's just going to be super repetitive. I'm just going to say the exact same cars in every video, then it's not going to be too fun. So, I plan to update this every few months, let you guys in on what I'm driving in GTA Online personally, and maybe it'll give you guys some options for your own if you guys are bored of the current cars that you guys are driving. Anyway, guys, that is it for the video. If you enjoyed this, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe if you guys are new. Comment down below. Let me know what cars you guys are using in Grand Theft Auto Online right now, or what vehicles in general you guys are using. I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.